Hi guys, Jasmine from Arnabella, and today we'll be painting a paint-covered dash hound. So we'll need 3 different sized brushes, paper towel, a cup of clean water, as well as the colors black, white, red, yellow, green, and blue. First off, I'm going to start with 2 parentheses in the middle of my canvas to create kind of a neck shape. And then I'm creating a potato lump for my head, as well as 2 floppy ears, one on each side. And to get the color that I'm using, I just mixed some blue and a little bit of white to make a light blue. And then I did a mushroom shape for my nose and 2 almonds for my eyes. Moving into the pink background, I mixed white and red, and I'm just outlining before I get started on filling in. Now I do this to protect the inside of my dog so that I don't end up with any of my background color in my dog, because I do want to cover it with white. So again, just outlining everything before I jump in and start filling things in. And just a friendly reminder for you guys, feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward the video as little or as much as you'd like. Just make sure that you're allowing yourself enough time to complete your painting and don't feel like you're too rushed. I believe that it took me about an hour and a half to complete this. So if, you're going a little slower than the 12 minutes, then you're right on track. With my background complete, I'm going to go ahead and start filling in my dog by outlining that blue and white. So I'm just trying to make a nice even base for my dog. I know dash hounds aren't white, but for the sake of this painting, it is going to be today. So again, just going over all of that blue lining as best as I can with the white. If a little bit peeks through, then that's perfectly fine. We're just going to end up covering it up with more paint anyway. But I just wanted a nice even coat. And much like we did with our background, now that our outline is complete, we're going to go ahead and get started on just filling everything in. And for the sake of this painting, I went ahead and did all of my outlining in that medium-sized brush and did all of my filling in, the bulk of it all with the wider of the 3 brushes. And going forward, I'll be using the smallest of my brushes for all of my details. And speaking of small details, I'm going to jump in and start painting a light gray base for my eyes as well as my nose. So for my eyes, I'm taking that small detail brush and just creating a nice circle in the center of my eyes. And then with my nose, I'm going to repeat kind of that mushroom style shape, but I'm going to swing it upwards just a little bit, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And that's going to kind of create a nostril for us. Now that I have a nice base going on, I'm just kind of adding a little bit of a darker gray and a lighter gray in certain areas to kind of pop out the lighting. Now this is completely optional, you don't have to do this, but if you wanted it to look a little bit more realistic, then that's where this comes into play. just adding in some lighting and some shadowing definitely helps bring it to a more realistic outcome. Now that I have my base kind of filled out with some shadowing, I'm going to fill in some minor nostrils. And this is typically where I would go in and start detailing all of the rest of the painting as well. However, I decided that I wanted to go ahead and cover up the rest of the eyeballs and make them a little white, as well as go over some of the nose and kind of reshape it a little bit. Once I had those eyeballs filled in, I went ahead with the light gray that I used for the base of the nose, and I'm adding just a little bit of the shadowing or shading to my neck just to make it appear like the head is coming forward. Again, this is completely optional. I go ahead and I outline the entire dog further into the video anyway, so you don't have to add in the shading. It's just an extra little detail that helps make it look more realistic. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that little bit of gray right in the corner, mixing it into the middle, and then adding white and mixing it back outwards to create a nice gradient. Like I said, the shading is completely optional. You don't have to go forward with it. However, if you do, I recommend also shading in the eyeballs a little bit, creating that almond shape around it again, as well as adding a little bit of shading into the nose and the sides of the face as well. Jumping back into the main parts of this painting, I'm going to add 2 pupils to my eyeballs using that small detail brush and my black paint. Once I have the shading complete on my eyes, or at least somewhat how I like it, I'm going to start in with the outlining of my eyes. So you'll notice I jump around quite a bit. I don't stay on the eyes and then move down to the nose. I outline the eyes and then I start in on the shading of the nose. Again, if you're not doing the shading, feel free to just skip ahead of all of this and start outlining everything. So a good tip when you are outlining is holding your brush sideways, especially if it is a flat brush. It's going to help make your lines a little bit thinner so that they can be more sharp and you have more control over where your line goes. Now with the outlining of this head, I'm also adding in a small little mouth just because I think it's kind of cute. I recommend doing that just because it kind of does give it a more dog-like appearance, having that little bit of a lip at the bottom. And then I go ahead and outline my ears. And you'll notice later on that I also cover up my head because, like I said, with dash hounds, your ears want to be in front of your face. So when you're outlining, just make sure that you outline it so that the ears are on top of the head and not the head is on top of the ears. Once you've got your outline complete, you're just going to go ahead and start splattering some different color paints all over that puppy dog. Now, the motions that I painted mine in, I tried to reflect how the dog would be shaped naturally, but you can just kind of have right at it and splat your paint all over, and that's pretty much it. You've got a completed puppy dog.